Today we are going to discuss about ICH GCP guidelines regarding clinical trials. This is very popular guideline throughout the globe. We are following and uniformity we are maintaining in regulatory processes. After this guideline only, many countries are started following uniform practices in clinical trial. Before that, each one country will follow their own regulations. That leads to a lot of complications and many issues were happened. After that, there was an agreement bond between countries. These international guidelines were developed. So that is the small introduction about ICH GCP. We know we come across this terms ICH very commonly when we are discussing about clinical trials. What ICH stands for International Conference on Harmonization. Actually, the full form of ICH guidelines are the International Conference on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. So that is the full form of ICH. The International Conference on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. So when you are registering and compound as a medicine, for that, what are all the technical requirements needed? That all will be given under these guidelines. It is a unique project that brings together the regulatory authorities of Europe, Japan, and the United States and experts from the pharmaceutical industry in the three regions discuss scientific and technical aspects of product registration. In the beginning, only these three nations were jointly discussed, sit together, and they developed these guidelines. Now it become they are the major producers of pharmaceuticals. Producers in the sense they are the they were the countries registering new molecules. Largest registers clinical trials were taking place. So on that basis, those countries were started registering new regulations in the form of ICH GCP guidelines. So after that, other countries are totally depend on these countries. They have to use their molecules, whatever invented by them. So naturally, they also started adopting these principles throughout the globe. History prospects, if you take GCP, that is good clinical practices, that is only stated under ICH guidelines. Good clinical practices born in USA in mid 1970s itself, USA. Rigorous IND, investigation and new drug procedures enforced in USA because of the sulfonilamide problem, thalidomide tragedy. Various nationals like USA, Europe, Japan, they jointly form an uniform guideline that is only called ICH GCP guideline. That is the developed version of the US made GCP only. There are 6 founder nations under this development. European Commission also contributing more in this development. European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries Association, EFPIA, European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries Association. Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, uh, Japanese Pharmaceutical Manufacturer Association, JPMA. This is a Japanese organization, Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. Japanese Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, JPMA. Food and Drug Administration is USA's regulatory authority. And Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, PHRMA. So, 3 nations, 3 regulatory agencies, 3 manufacturers associations. So 6 founder members are there. They are only sat together and discussed. All the side points were assessed, and then these regulatory guidelines were made. Initiation of ICH House started. The birth of ICH took place at a meeting in April 1990, hosted by EFPIA in Brussels. EFPIA is European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries Association only, hosted that in Brussels. Europe, Japan, and USA, three nations met in that meeting conference. It planned on to plan on international conference, but the meeting also discussed the wider implication on terms of references of ICH. The ICH steering committee, which was established at that meeting, has since met at least twice a year with the location rotating between the three nations. So like that, the process is going on. The triggers why these initiations were made means, and I said the sulfanilamide tragedy that was in the year 1930. Sulfanilamide plus diethylene glycol was used. The diethylene glycol as an co-solvent, it was used to dissolve sulfanilamide in the formulation. That leads to severe toxicity. Many child were born with were died. Then thalidomide tragedy also, that was at the time of usage there was no signs, but the child were born with deformities. In 1960 and 1970s, after these incidents, a rapid increase in law, they strengthened law and regulations and guidelines. Many things were came to control the regulatory guidelines, that the initiations were started. And the industry marketing also started globally. One country only marketing that country, not like that. They are started thinking about global market. So naturally, the standards also they are expected. Basic evaluation should be similar in all countries. Then only we can believe one's product in another nation. If an Indian product goes to European market, then we should also follow the same regulatory principles. Then only their our products will be approved there. Detailed technical requirements are varied, so that we need an expected and uniformity. That is why that ICH guidelines were made. Okay, why we need to harmonize all these things? Avoid duplication in tests to conform to different regulatory guidelines. So one country already did this experiment, and once again, and the accepting country also will do this experiment and accept it. That is not correct, because some of the experiments we are using human studies. Human studies, why we should disturb human again and again? More effective utilization of results. So timeline is the factor here. We can reduce the timeline. We can use other results also. Timely access of patients to safe and effective new drugs. So immediately it reaches the market. Promote public health. That is also another factor. Minimize animal testing without compromising safety and effectiveness. So unnecessary testings were avoided. So that is why harmonization is required. What was the objective of ICH? More economical use of human, animal, and material resources. So all three were focused: human, animal, material, and more economical use. Should not waste our money. Elimination of unnecessary delay in global development. So all are experts in this world. So we have to believe their regulatory guidelines and mutually coordinate in the development of a new drug. It is for the mankind only. It is not for the benefit of one country. So on that basis, we have to accept. Make new medicines available while maintaining safeguard on quality, safety, and efficacy, and the regulatory obligations to protect public health. These three are the objectives of ICH guidelines. Okay, we come to the point now. ICH GCP, International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use, is ICH. They prescribed the guidelines called Good Clinical Practices. Is an international, ethical, and scientific quality standards for designing, conducting, recording, and reporting trials that involves the participation of human subjects. So, what is ICH GCP guideline? If somebody asks this answer, it is regulating the design of the experiments, conducting the experiment process, and recording the data and reporting the trials then and there to the regulatory authority, all are controlled by these guidelines. Compliance with the standard provides public assurance that the right, safety, and well-being of trial subjects are protected. So, consistent with the principles that have their origin in the Declaration of Helsinki, and that the clinical trial data are credible. So one can believe the researchers that they never violate because they are following ICH guidelines. And one more assurance is they are giving more importance to the safety and well-being of trial subjects, not the scientific interest of the outcome of the researcher. So Helsinki Declaration is the basic guideline taken here to develop this ICH GCP guideline. Okay. Good clinical practices is an international, ethical, scientific quality standard for designing, conducting, reporting, recording trials that involves the participation of human subjects. That is the summary what we discussed now. Compliance with this standard provides public assurance that right, safety, and well-being of trial subjects are protected, consistent with the principles that they have their origin in the Declaration of Helsinki and that the clinical trial data are credible. Okay. And objectives are to provide a unified standard for the European Union, Japan, and the USA to facilitate the mutual acceptance of clinical data by regulatory authorities in this jurisdiction. Should be followed when generating data that are intended to be submitted to regulatory authorities. So that is the objective. Okay. These guidelines covers what are the various parts. You see, ethical committee. These guidelines are made for developing an ethical committee, how it should function, how we should appoint. Investigator. The role of investigators and the responsibilities of the investigators, and then responsibilities of sponsors. Clinical trial protocol design and getting approval and amendments, how it can be done. Then and the importance of investigators brochure and its design and its approval and maintenance. Essential documents for conduct of clinical trial. Their details, maintaining the documents, that period and the responsibilities related to that. So these are the various sections under ICH. Okay. One by one we'll see. ICH guideline contains a section of glossaries. It contains many sections below that. Sections of ICH is, first section is glossaries. Second one is principles of GCP. Third one is about ethical committee and institutional review board and their responsibilities. Fourth one is investigator responsibility. Section 4. Section 5 is sponsor responsibility. 6 is protocol and amendments. 7 is investigators brochure. 8 is essential documents. So like that there are 8 sections under ICH GCP guidelines. Okay. First section is glossaries. In that many amendments and new glossaries also were included. So why we are making glossaries as a list here? Because this is a standard terminology to represent some object used in clinical trial or an organization used in a clinical trial or a designation used in the clinical trial. So these terminology should be used throughout the world same way, whether they are practicing English or not. They have to use the same terminology. So that is why glossaries are made. Okay. Adverse drug reactions and adverse events. We use these terms. Case report form, CRF, clinical study report, coordinating committee, contract research organization, CRO, independent ethical committee, IEC, institutional review board, IRB, investigator and investigators brochure. Some will write the scientist, some will write expert, subject expert, like that. We should not use. Everybody should use the same word, investigator. That represents the scientific team working behind that clinical trial. Monitoring report, protocol amendment, serious adverse events, SAE, source data, like that. There are many standard glossaries we are using. This is under section 1. Okay, we move to section 2, Principles of GCP. These principles are taken from the Helsinki Declaration. Clinical trials should be conducted in accordance with the ethical principles consistent with GCP and applicable to regulatory requirements. That is first principle. Before a trial is initiated, foreseeable risks and inconveniences should be weighed against anticipated benefit for the trial subject and society. We have to be thorough, which is the negative side of this result and what are the benefits of this result. What are the risks and benefits? We should know very well. And accordingly, we should plan and safeguard the trial subjects. Stress the rights, safety, well-being of the trial subjects are the most important consideration to prevail over interests of science and society. These are repeatedly stated, a very important statement. We have to give importance to the well-being of the trial subjects first, and then only the scientific interest of the topic. The available non-clinical and clinical information on an investigational product should adequately support the proposed clinical trial. Non-clinical clinical information that we have collected from animal experiments. Also, we were taken reference from the previous studies reported. So, like that, we have to collect all sufficient data. On that basis, the protocol should be developed. Principle continues. Clinical trials should be scientifically sound and described in very clear, detailed protocol which has received prior IRB IEC approval. We know very well for our research, we are taking approval from Institutional Review Board and Independent Ethical Committee. That is, before initiating any study, we have to take approval from them. So the detailed protocol, all procedures should be explained in detail in that. So, and we have to give supportive documents to justify the risk and benefits mentioned in that. The medical care and medical deviation for subjects should not be should be the responsibility of the qualified physician. Medical care and medical decisions. Qualified physicians means investigators. They are the responsible people. They have to take care medically and all the medical decisions on the trial subjects. So, not the sponsors. Each individual involved in conducting a trial should be qualified by education, training, experience to perform his her respective task. So that is important. All qualified people only should be appointed. With they should have enough experience in this field. Freely given informed consent should be obtained from every subject prior to clinical trial participation. Very important note that for informed consent document, we should not charge any trial subject. It should be free of cost. It should be given to them, explained to them. Enough time should be given, and then their consent to be taken before enrolling them into the study. All clinical information should be recorded, handled, and stored a way that allows its accurate reporting, interpretation, and verification. So that should be followed. The data should be recorded in a proper way and protected and stored until unless it is specified to destroy. So that 5 years after the trial, it should be recorded. If any legal proceedings are there, so it should be recorded, stored more than that period. The confidentiality of records that could identify patients should be protected, respecting the privacy and confidentiality rules in accordance with the applicable regulatory requirements. The trial subjects' personal data should be protected. Confidentiality to be maintained until unless it is requested by any legal proceedings. Till that, it should be maintained confidential. Investigation of products should be manufactured, handled, and stored in accordance with applicable good manufacturing practices and used in accordance with the protocol. So we have to follow the protocol. We have to follow the good manufacturing guidelines to manufacture the investigation product, because the product is not for the medicinal use. It is for testing purposes. So we can manufacture as our own like that. We should not follow any procedure. System with procedures that assure the quality of every aspect of the trial should be implemented. So that is very important. We have to assure the quality in all aspects. So that is the principles. That is section 2. Section 3 of the ICH guideline that especially discuss about establishment of and roles and responsibilities of independent ethical committee and institutional review board. You see that there are two organizations, both are not same. It is every time separately said, IEC, IRB. IRB will take responsibility of scientific data. IEC will take responsibility of the rights and well-being of the trial subjects and all. So that is their objective actually. Responsibilities: safeguard the rights, safety, and well-being of the subject is the actual aim of developing these organizations. Conduct a review of the ongoing trial at intervals at least once in a month. We have to review once in a month. That is the responsibility of IRB IEC ongoing trial. Once after approval also we have to inspect the process. Should review the amount and method of payment to subjects. We have to review the compensations paid to the subjects. Composition, functions, and operations is the section 3.2. At least 5 members, at least one member from non-scientific area, and one member who is independent of the institution that is mentioned in that member list. So out of 5 members, one from non-scientific area, one from the member who is independent of the institution, is totally outside that clinical trial, no way connected to that. IRB, IEC should function according to written operating procedures. They should have their own standard operating procedures. So that should not change person to person handling. So it should be uniform. Whoever handling, they should follow as per the procedures written already. Investigators should not participate in any functions of the IRB or IEC. So investigators are separate. They should don't have any role in this procedures. That is 3.3. How they should do this stuff, do their function. Provide approval, favorable opinion of minor changes in ongoing trials and changes of the protocol. Actually, protocol changes are not permitted. In rare occasions, any adverse reaction is found, then it will be the work will be stopped and it will be submitted for the review. Minor changes are there means it will be accepted with the opinion from all the members of IRB and IEC, also informed to the regulatory authorities. That is one procedure. No subject should be admitted to the trial before the IRB IEC issues its return approval, favorable opinion of the trial. So, because they are the monitoring committee, they are functioning at the site of clinical trial itself. So they will continuously monitor. So once after getting approval only, we have to proceed every stage. Not only in the beginning, stage by stage, we have to take approval from them and then proceed. And the same procedure guidelines are investigator promptly notify to ethical committee for the following. One is protocol deviations. If they are finding any deviation, immediately it should be reported to ethical committee. Changes increasing the risk of subjects, risk to subjects. So there are many people are reporting with risk, then immediately it should be reported. Adverse drug reactions, anything found, one incident also should be reported immediately. New informations, anything we are finding that was not now known in the previous submitted documents, so that addition of informations also we need to contact ethical committee. Investigator trial related decisions, opinions, reasons, and the procedure for appeal. All we have to contact ethical committee. They are the mediators between the regulatory authorities. So first, ethical committee, they will send that information to regulatory authorities and necessary actions will be taken. And recording of the proceedings is also an important role of IRB IEC. At least 3 years after completion of the trial, we have to maintain all the records related to clinical trial. At least 3 years after completion of the trial, also we have to maintain our documents. Okay, we see in detail what is their responsibility. Should safeguard the rights, safety, well-being of all the trial subjects. Is the actually they have to review protocol, informed consent document, recruitment procedures, investigator procedure, remunerations given. All their responsibility of IEC and IRB. And they should have at least 5 members, 1 member from non-scientific community, and 1 member should be totally independent of the clinical trial. Maintain list of members and qualifications involved in this clinical trial, and only independent members to vote on decision making. The quorum to be present. That means majority of the members should be present during all the meetings. Then only the decisions will be approved. Composition of the institutional ethical committee is includes the subject experts in the field, independent to the field on common layman, and people from social interest and philosopher, and from the a lawyer, like that. The composition is maintained. That is mentioned in this clinical trial, in this guidelines, GCP guideline. Meeting scheduling, once in a month should meet and review, and specify the trial starts only after IRB review. Only the trial should be started. Specify regarding changes in protocol, that should be made with the proper approval from IRB or IEC. Specific prompt reporting of adverse events immediately as per the guidelines. So these are all mentioned in that. All these documents should be maintained for minimum 3 years, even after completing the trial. And the IRB IEC may be asked to by investigators, sponsors, or the regulatory authorities to provide its written procedures and membership list. Every time we can ask in the writings, and we can collect and maintain. So that these are the responsibilities. Next, this guideline says about informed consent document in detail. That is also a part of IRB IEC section. Informed consent document, how it should be maintained. The trial involves research should develop an informed consent document as it is given in the guidelines. The purpose of the trial should be mentioned in that informed consent document. Why it is done, what are the benefits associated with this, what are the risks also with this. The trial treatments and probability of random assessment to treatment. What are all the experiments they are going to do in detail, that should be given in this informed consent document. All trial procedures should be explained. And what are the responsibilities of trial subjects, how they have to be while taking part in this study, what are the medicines to be taken, how any problems, how they have to report, everything. Reasonable, foreseeable risk or inconveniences to the subjects and or to the embryo, if the pregnant women are taking part in the study, or to the infant. So all must be given in detail in this. Reasonably expected benefits. If any problem, anything, how the compensations will be given. Alternate course of treatment available. If any problem, how the treatment remedy will be given. Compensation or treatment available for trial-related injury. If anything goes wrong, how immediately it should be reported and how it will be assessed, and on what basis the compensations will be given. The detailed information. That all called informed consent document. That is for the information of trial subjects before they get into the trial, enroll into the trial. So it should be in the common language, simple language, illiterate people, we have to explain to them, and we have to give enough time to them, and then we have to take their opinion, their consent, and then we have to enroll them into the trial. Also, this informed consent document includes additional data related anticipated payment for participation, anticipated expenses for participation. Participation in voluntary subject may refuse or withdraw time during the trial without penalty or loss of benefit. Anytime they can withdraw and go. Access to original medical records to auditor, monitor, IRB regulatory authorities. So subject identification would be confidential. Their privacy will be maintained. Any new information that may affect willingness to participate would be made available, and contact name, address in case of need, foreseeable circumstances for trial termination, anything possible, expected duration of trial, when it will complete the entire study, approximate number of subjects involved in the trial along with these people. So all these information will be in form consent document. So next is section 4, it includes investigator responsibility. We begin in our next discussion about this section 4. Okay, thank you very much for participating.